as we embark on this new chapter in our lives.
I vow to always be your best friend, your safe place, your home.
The rebirth of Morissette. It's so nice to see you. Tama ba ang rebirth?
Rebirth just because although ang dami na rin pong nangyari sa buhay ko, mga challenges, I feel like may mas marami pa po akong gustong i-share, gustong i-explore. That's also why po na gusto ko din pong i-celebrate yung lahat na nangyari po sa akin in the past 15 years as well. Also kind of to commemorate everything and parang kind of a close to this chapter po and then hopefully start a new one naman po. So syempre ngayon, kasal na ako, di ba? Like more chapters that I also want to look forward to, mga ganun.
Marami kang pinagdaanan, Morissette. This is a new chapter in your life. Anong nagbago sa'yo?
Naku po, marami naman po. Marami po. Tulad po ng, siguro when I was starting, syempre I'm from Cebu. And so, there was still so much takot, hiya. Especially, I guess, also as a Cebuana po dati. When I was first here po with my mom early years namin, yung parang nahihiya po ako magsalita kasi, syempre, as a Cebuana, mas English speaker po ako. So, parang hindi na lang ako magsasalita kasi shy po talaga ako. And then, syempre, like, just being around other people din po, just give me confidence. Pinagtagalog lessons po ako para mas maging ano lang po, I guess mas maging relatable din po sa masa, yung mga ganun po. And then, fast forward to today, yung Morissette ngayon, I think is sobrang risk taker na. Ang dami ko na pong yung parang, sige, okay lang kahit mahirap, parang I believe naman na may reason kung bakit tayo binigyan ng ganitong opportunity. Kahit na it's not within our comfort zone, pero for sure, may magandang result pa rin ito. Or may reason si God kung bakit tayo binigyan ng ganitong opportunity, di ba?
Mas nakilala ka when you joined The Voice. You were Team Sarah. Pero at that time, si Sarah chose Clarice. How did that whole moment, how did that affect your career?
Oh my gosh po, Ma'am Karen. I remember during that time, kasi syempre po, sobrang idol ko din po talaga si Ate Sarah. And syempre, siya yung naging coach ko, so nakasama ko siya personally sa mga sessions naming leading up to semifinals, kung saan po ako nag-end yung journey ko sa The Voice, sa show na yun. I remember just being hurt also na parang, oh, I thought I could also carry over to grand finals, yung ang lapit na po eh. Yun yung parang masaklap for me na parang konti na lang nasa dulo na pero hindi pa nakarating. But it's also not to parang invalidate yung galing ni Klang kasi sobrang galing din talaga ni Klang. Ayun, it didn't end how I hoped, and I just remembered na pag-uwi ko nun, parang ayoko nang kumanta, ayoko nang sumali ng contest. Kasi based na po ako dito sa Manila nun, ma'am. Na parang sabi ko po talaga sa parents ko na parang uwi na lang tayo ng Cebu. Ayoko na. Ayoko na. Like, sobrang na-disheartened po ako. But then, I'm also just very grateful po sa parents ko. Kasi sila po talaga yung foundation ko. Ever since sa Cebu, sila yung tumulong sa akin, nag-train sa akin, like home-taught po talaga ako. My dad and my mom, they really molded me po kung sino ako ngayon. And sila ang nagpatuloy na i-push ako na huwag mong hayaan na ito yung end ng gusto mong gawin talaga. Kung gusto mo talaga to, sige, iiyak mo lang muna. Kung hindi ka kakanta for 1 month, 1 year, sige lang. Ihahayaan ka namin. And binigyan naman ako nung time ng parents ko. Hanggat sa kahit hindi ako nanalo, nagkakaroon pa rin po ako ng opportunity. Doon po ako ulit na buhay na parang okay, hindi pa siguro ito yung the end. And so I'm very grateful lang po talaga. Of course, sa ABS-CBN, sa ASAP, sa Star Music. Ang dami sa kanila na nagbigay pa rin po ng mga opportunity sa akin kahit hindi ako nanalo sa The Voice. Kaya hanggang ngayon po, yun po yung lagi kong bit-bit na, o hindi nyo kailangan manalo sa isang contest. Like, pwede pa rin kayong magpursige para sa dream nyo kahit hindi kayo manalo. Gawin nyo yun as stepping stone or mas ma-inspire pa kayo to work harder po. So, yun po yung akin.
Anong naituro sa'yo ng pagkatalo? What did you learn when you lost?
Tao lang din po ako. I think also when I joined kasi The Voice, I was teens pa, syempre 16, 17. And I feel like kaya ko lahat. Na-awaken po ako sa like status ng voice ko, na kailangan talaga siya alagaan, hindi lang basta-basta kakanta dito, kanta dyan. Doon po ako na-enlighten about all of that also. Pero when it comes to losing, what I learned is, minsan kailangan mo siyang pagdaanan. Kailangan mo siyang pagdaanan para mas ma-appreciate mo yung mga grand moments. And kaya I always look back on those moments na halos actually po halos lahat ng mga sinalihan kong TV contest, hindi ako nanalo. Opo. Even before The Voice, I also joined sa another network po. Hindi din po ako nanalo. Pero
You didn't give up?
I didn't po talaga give up. And as cliche as it sounds, I always tell people na if this is really something that you want to do, just keep going. And I feel like minsan kung kailan ka pa magi-give up, dun ka pa i-bless ni Lord kasi you kept holding on. And so I hold that close to my heart na parang I just keep going. The time will come. Panapanahon lang naman din po yun eh.
So you were humble.
I really was. I was very humbled. Siyempre, you're in a competition. And I've joined many competitions po before. Pero iba din po yung sa TV, di ba? I mean, you're not only having to think about the competition, you're also having to think about yung mga know how to project yourself more as a person, as an artist. Anong time na yun, parang gusto ko lang naman kumanta. So yung mga ganun pong mga obstacles, especially in the beginning, na I really needed to find myself first and find my sound.
You started your career at a very young age. You were 14. Taga Cebu ang mga magulang mo. Anong buhay niyo noon?
In the beginning naman po, or like ever, we weren't naman po like yung sobrang mahirap naman po. We were stable. Like both my parents had work. Me and my brother were able to go to good schools naman po in Cebu when I was still studying as well. But I guess nung nag-transition na po kami nito sa Manila, syempre, there was a point na I needed to carry the financial load also. And so for a time, I became also a breadwinner. There was a lot of pressure and a lot of stress also, and especially when I was younger. Pero grateful naman po ako dahil marami naman pong nakapaligid sa akin. Besides my family as well, na sobrang pinrotektahan din naman po ako.
At least maganda yung view.
Together.
You were misunderstood many times, but you had a falling out with your family because you stood up for Dave. Si Dave, the love of your life, pinanindigan mo siya.
Yun na, naku po. During that time po kasi, long story short, ano na po, second round na po namin ng relationship ko. Yung first round po namin na mag-girlfriend-boyfriend po kami na long distance pa. Si Dave noon ay based pa sa US. Tapos, ano na po ito, this was around the time ng Akin Ka Na Lang, 2014, 2015. And people had not known na, oh wow, I'm getting into something. Wow, ano lang siya, like tahimik po talaga yung about that. Siyempre, I was young. Of course, it came with the territory na dahil long distance, minsan hindi hindi laging nagsisi eye to eye. And so even our priorities changed. I mean, we didn't really fall out of love, pero hindi na kami nagka-align sa mga priorities namin ni Dave. So yun yung parang sinasabi ko nung first time, hindi ko siya napaglaban. I think for me, ang naging super sad po talaga, Ma'am Karen, is more than nawalan ako ng boyfriend, nawalan ako ng best friend talaga.
Bakit ayaw ng tatay mo noon sa kanya?
Well, both my parents, I think dahil I was also younger, they really wanted me to really prioritize on my career. And I understood that. I mean, they had a lot of sacrifices. But then, nung nagka-second wind na kami ni Dave, 2 years pa yung dumaan, akala namin hindi na kami magkabalikan, magkatuluyan. We were brought back together by fate also. Parang nasabi ko na, ipaglaban ko na to. Alam mo yun, dati kasi, Miss Karen, hindi ako masyadong lumalabas kasi yung buhay ko, bahay, saan yung work, bahay. Ganun na siya. At syempre, around this time, I wasn't also studying, or I didn't continue my studies pa. So, yun na talaga yung buhay ko. So, si Dave yung lagi kong kausap sa cellphone and long distance, di ba? So, and initially, we were really just catching up on so many things kasi nag-The Voice din po siya. But we were friends prior. Like, I had met him 2011 pa. So, matagal na kami magkakilala talaga. The Voice was 2013 and so, we kept in touch kahit na natanggal na po siya sa show. And so, it just started there. And then, na-develop lang into something na hindi namin in-expect. I found trust in him, he trusted in me, and then, ayun, boom, may, LDR! Ayun po, and then, he's also my first and my last. So, yun na yun mismo.
So Dave is your true love, soulmate, your best friend.
Best friend, lahat po ng pwedeng description sa kanya, siya po talaga yun.
Isipin mo yun, ang tagal mong hindi nakausap ang mga magulang mo. That was a long falling out, all for Dave. How did you and your parents reconcile?
Honestly po, it wasn't until lately lang.
Ilang taon yun? How long weren't you speaking with your family?
5 years, ma'am. 5 years kami.
You were not talking to your parents?
To my parents and
5
like even my
years.
brother also. 5 years po yun, ma'am. And so, last year lang po, ma'am, kami nagka-reunite.
How did it happen?
Ano po, actually, effort din po ng fans ko. I have fans who have become like very close na rin po to our family. Naging family friend na po sila. And of course, during the pandemic and moving forward, I still meet up with my fans every once in a while. And then, one of our traditions po with my fans is every birthday and or Christmas, may get-together with the whole fans club. And this one, last year, was in celebration of my birthday. And yung usual, may party, kainan. Tapos nung paalis na po, dinirect kami ng fans ko to a separate room in the venue that we had the party. And there was my mom and my brother and his wife who was pregnant na rin. Opo, my dad at that time wasn't there yet. My dad was, if I'm not mistaken, nasa Cebu po ata siya for a business trip.
So what was your reaction when you saw them?
If I could remember correctly, ang una ko lang pong parang sinabi was, "Mommy," and I cried. And I just said, "I'm sorry." I think at that point, parang kahit na hindi ko naman buong kasalanan, I think I just felt the need to say sorry because I still hurt them. I still hurt the family. And so, ayun, hug kami ni Mommy, tapos sabi na niya na, okay lang, okay na tayo, huwag na natin balikan yan. And look, magkakaroon ka na, magiging auntie ka na, yung ganun.
But what about your father? How did you reconcile? Paano kayo nagbate?
My dad po was a little later na. It was really, parang if I were to put it po siguro, my mom was very hurt, my dad was mad. Parang ganun po yung how they dealt with the situation of me fighting for myself. Pero when I saw my dad na po, which was at home na, we were able to visit them na po sa where they were living now. Ano naman, mas chill na si daddy. Ano naman siya, like nag-hug din siya.
And what did your dad say?
Both of them naman po, they just kept saying na, let's just move forward. Let's not look back na lang.
Yeah.
Let's all move forward and try to make new memories together. So, that's what we're doing.
Sa mga nanonood ngayon who have the same problems, they're not talking to their parents, pinaninindigan ang pag-ibig nila, ano ang advice mo?
I guess, iba-iba din po yung situation ng mga tao. I mean, I was just very fortunate enough na yung pinaglaban ko, I ended up with. And sobrang bait po talaga ng asawa ko. And I also wanted to show my parents na they raised me well to determine who is a good person. And I believe na my husband now is a good person. And so, I don't even know kung anong advice yung pwede kong mabigay kasi especially kung hindi pa sila kasal na parang baka hindi pa yun, di ba?
It was worth it fighting for Dave, but looking back, ilang taon mong hindi nakausap mga magulang mo. Did it have to be that way? If kids are going through something like that, do they have to go through the same thing?
Honestly, din po, Ma'am Karen, before I even answer that, the other bright side that I saw happening na nung umalis ako sa picture sa family ko is nagkaroon sila ng more time para sa kapatid ko. Just because ever since pinursu ko po yung dream ko, and even naman before, like my parents have always been very supportive of both me and my brother. Pero syempre, because of my career, mas madalas kasama ko both of my parents. And so, it became unfair for my brother. Parang yung attention ng parents ko laging nasa akin. Pero, I guess, yun, parang it taught him to be independent. And then nung time na umalis po ako, their attention is nandun na sa kapatid ko. And so they were able to, I guess, repair their relationship also that they had na sila lang. And so, I think ultimately po, I also just kept praying. I think yun po talaga. Kasi I tried. I really did try na kahit na umalis ako ng bahay, galit sila sa akin, I still tried to keep in touch to the point na ayaw na talaga nila makarinig sa akin. And so, syempre, that was hard for me kasi nag-e-effort naman po ako pero ayaw nila. They weren't ready. And so, there's not much I could do.
Pero nag-against all odds pala kayo, ha?
Opo, malaga po. Opo. Kaya kinanta ko po siya. Charot. Kinakanta ko siya. Charot.
Sige nga, one phrase, just give me a one-liner.
I mean, I'm not sure if this is something that I want na a message, pero the story of the song is like, so take a look at me now, 'cause there's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just the memory of your face. Take a look at me now. Pero parang ganun na, parang strong pa rin naman.
Would you say your family has now accepted Dave?
I would say because we visit them naman when we have time, and it's a trip from where me and my husband live to where they live. Medyo malayo yung drive po siya. But we try to check on them every once in a while. Kasi syempre din po, dalawa lang kami magkapatid. Tapos both of their children are married. So sila na lang dalawa na iiwan. And so I think it's still a work in progress what we're doing. Small efforts na kahit na di nila ma-realize na malaking impact, but I feel like it's a work in progress, like it's working slowly.
Your love story spans something like 5 years. You were together first for a year and a half, then you broke up, then you got back together and got married. But what was that like, Dave? You both got married, and at that time, you both didn't have her parents' support.
Gosh, it was very, very difficult because, I mean, I guess even for me, with the way that I grew up also, parang that was something that I had always envisioned. Na like whoever I was gonna marry, like both of our families are gonna be there, diba? And it's just gonna be like, what you usually see, diba? Her dad walking her down the aisle and stuff like that. And so, I mean, that was heartbreaking. But at the same time, like just God in His ways, like He just made the day and the moment like so beautiful. It's a memory that like her and I will cherish forever. I do wish that like like even there was some members from my family that weren't there as well. We're also just so thankful that it happened the way that it did, because still parang like that's the way that God wanted it to happen in the moment. And then even with just how we were able to reconcile with her family, and it was so beautiful.
Yes, how is that now?
Oh
What's
my gosh.
it like?
It's great. And she's happy, her family's happy, and when we get together, it's just a great time, and like it's just like this big heavy burden that got lifted off of all of our backs, and it's just beautiful.
God's
And
time.
It's God's time. It's really God's time. That's just one thing that I've always believed in. My parents were missionaries growing up.
Wow.
And so parang that's one of the things that I also witnessed from them. It's just always, whether you're in good times or bad times, like there's a reason that God puts you in certain situations.
You started as a child in this industry. Now you are a woman. What would you say is or was the lowest point sa buhay mo?
That would have to count as me, yung falling out ko po with my family would have to count as one of the lowest. Kasi hindi lang siya personal, pero syempre dahil na-publicize siya, it also affected my career and how people perceived me. And so actually din po, that's also why when I started to write music, kasi for the longest time po ma'am, when I started my career, gusto ko lang naman kumanta. And I'm just very grateful na maraming mga songwriters na nagbibigay po ng mga kanta sa akin, na ako po yung mag-interpret. Pero nung pandemic, isa sa mga I worked on doing was try to write music. And one of the very first songs that I wrote is called Love You Still. And it
For
was,
your parents?
That was specifically for my parents. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We both lose the fight, both feel we've won. Na yun nga, na parang, syempre kanya-kanya tayo ng pinaglalaban. Pero ultimately, I still love them kahit na we did not see eye to eye. I want them to always know na kahit na hindi kami nagka-agree on a lot of things, especially ngayon, na mahal ko pa rin sila. Gusto ko pa rin sila talaga i-honor, di ba? And I still want them to feel that they are still a very big part of my life and they're still very, very important, regardless starting a new family.
What would you like to say to your father today?
To my dad, Ano po, na, I mean, all is forgiven naman from my end. I mean, there's so many things that had happened. Pero I feel like more than anything, it made all of us, not just me and my dad, all of us stronger also. And I still love them. Even when nung mga panahon na hindi kami nag-uusap, in those 5 years, I still acknowledge them. I still say na I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my parents, for my family. I always try to honor them regardless of if we were in speaking terms or not. So, yun po.
But what about your career? What would you say was your lowest point?
And this is gonna be funny po because people would see it as my highest point. So, before 2019, which was 2018, I had po my very first Araneta show, which is yung Morissette's Made, and it was very, very successful. We got to tour it around. But the reason why I also say po na it was my lowest point was because I was doing so much po na napabayaan ko yung sarili ko, napabayaan ko yung voice ko.
That's hard. I feel you. Yes, I can relate.
Nandun din yung expectation ng mga tao na magha-high notes yan. Na kahit minsan gusto mo lang naman kumanta ng chill songs, ayaw nila, gusto talaga nila, taas lagi. And so lagi ko yung binabalikan yung 2018 na, yes, ang daming blessings na dumating sa buhay ko, pero kung alam nyo lang, sobrang low point ko din yun kasi wala akong boses lagi. I became dependent sa steroids, sa vocal steroids, just to get through. But it was hard for me because it came to the point na, ma'am, na naging dependent na ako. Na kahit minsan na, I guess okay naman yung boses ko, siguro 90-95%, nagtitake pa rin ako. Kasi natatakot na ako na baka biglang bumigay lang siya out of nowhere.
And what did that fear do to you as an artist?
Ano, ma'am, hindi ko na na-enjoy yung ginawa ko. Unfortunately, it came to that na parang every time parang I stepped on stage, hindi na ako confident, hindi ko na na-enjoy. I was just doing it just for the sake of getting through it.
That was 2018.
God, 7 years ago.
That was 7 years ago. Yaksha!
So how did you change the narrative of your own life? You look so happy now, so joyful, and you have a concert.
It took a lot of mind shift. And I think malaking factor din po na since nangyari ito papuntang pandemic, nung pandemic po talaga, I allowed myself to rest. I allowed myself not to think of work. I allowed myself to... Kasi umabot talaga siya sa burnout po, na parang ayoko na. Dumating na siya sa ganun. And I told Dave also this na parang after nito, hindi na talaga ako... Yung denial ko is parang ang dami naman na ding nangyari sa career ko. Nakapag-represent na ako ng bansa ko sa ibang bansa.
Did you wanna quit at one point?
Maraming beses, especially nung pa-pandemic po talaga. And I was going through a transition phase as well of just trying to grow myself. And syempre, I realized na it really isn't easy. Like, trying to change and grow is really not easy kasi i-challenge po talaga yung sarili mo. I was stepping outside of my comfort zone. And so, for me, that came in the form of trying to write, trying to produce music on my own just because I didn't want to just do covers. Ayoko lang mag-covers naman. Or makilala ako sa covers lang. Gusto ko din na makabuo ng sariling sound ko, and sariling music ko na is really coming from my heart, my stories din po. Gusto ko din po na contribute ng ganun.
So itong bago mong concert, what kind of Morissette will we see?
Oh my gosh, I think the fiercest out of all versions of Morissette, especially in the last 15 years. I always say po na, honestly, I don't even think I'm gonna do another concert like this, ma'am. Just because, pero kasalanan ko din po kasi ito, ma'am. Kasi yung concept ng show na to, galing po talaga sa brain ko. It's been a dream of mine to have a concert na lahat ng original songs ko ay nandun. Or at least 90%. Including sa mga sinulat ko. But at the same time, alam ko yung mga kanta ko. alam ng mga fans ko na hindi ko kinakanta yung mga... Example, gusto ko nang bumitaw pa lang. Yun pa lang ang hirap na po. Tapos sasamahan...
Konting ano lang. Yun lang.
Ako po, gusto ko nang bumitaw, ngunit ayaw pa ng puso. Parang, I guess, nag-viral ako ulit dahil sa song na yun. But I also always point out to people na, like, of course, I'm very grateful sa recognition and support na nabigay sa akin through that song. But it's actually not my song even. Hindi ko naman original yun. So I always just point it back to, this is kanta ni Ate Shireen Rehis and ni Kuya Jonathan Manalo. I'm just very fortunate enough na yung version ko para sa teleserye ay sumikat din. And so yun po, I'm very, very grateful sa opportunities din na nagbukas because of that cover po, or that rendition.
So to end, why don't you invite them to the concert?
Yes! So yun po, in celebration of 15 years, I am gonna be having a concert on October 28 at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. And it's called Ember, of course, inspired by Asia's Phoenix, di ba, Apoy? And I would love to celebrate with all of you. I hope you could all get your tickets sa ticketnet.com and we will have an amazing, amazing time. I promise.
There's a chance to start over again. Just as long as I
With everything you've been through in your life, Morissette, do you have a life verse, a favorite, that's kept you strong?
I think one that I've always loved, even before I went through everything that I went through, it has always been, I think, Ecclesiastes 3:11, which is everything in His perfect time. And I held on to that most especially when I was going through that falling out with my family. Because I really did try. Nag-effort po talaga din kami ni Dave. Pero I guess hindi pa time na magkaayos kami because maybe he was working in the hearts also of my parents, of me also, to strengthen me also, be independent without my parents also, especially since for the longest time, we've always been together.
So trust.
Trust
In
po
God's
talaga in
timing.
God. Especially now po, moving forward to the concert, malaking trust po talaga, ma'am, malaking trust. Kasi syempre, we can't control the many, many things that's been happening around us, but I put my trust in God na He allowed for me to have a concert in Araneta.